There are new bombshell claims today from royal insiders who say King Charles's cancer is incurable and he will likely die with the disease.
For weeks, Prince William had carried a truth too painful to speak and too dangerous to conceal. Then, behind closed doors at Kensington Palace, he finally stopped protecting the silence. His voice faltered only once as he confirmed that King Charles was gravely unwell, that treatment had failed to deliver the recovery everyone had hoped for, and that the family had been told his illness could no longer be cured. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. William had avoided this moment for days. In public, the prince answered questions with careful phrases, thanked well-wishers, and moved toward his next duty. But every controlled response hid the same fear. His father's condition was changing faster than the palace could admit. Music, the royal household, the staff and advisors who organized the monarch's public and constitutional work had begun reconsidering ceremonies, overseas travel, state responsibilities, and succession planning. Charles's illness was no longer only a private medical battle, it was reshaping the crown itself. William gathered Catherine and two senior advisors inside a sitting room at Kensington Palace. According to a documented account created for this dramatized narrative, the future king placed a sealed medical summary on the table and said the words plainly. The fictional medical team had concluded that the cancer could no longer be cured. Although treatment would continue to control the disease and protect his quality of life, he did not sit. Instead, he gripped the back of a chair until his knuckles whitened. Catherine watched his face change. She stepped beside him, but William looked away, unable to bear the sympathy in her eyes. For months, he had tried to behave like an heir preparing for duty. In that room, he was only a son, confronting losing his father. The princess touched his arm, and he admitted that speaking the truth aloud made everything suddenly feel brutally irreversible. Then the sealed summary revealed something worse. Charles had learned the full prognosis several days earlier, and ordered his staff to delay telling William until after an important public engagement. The king had also begun altering his final royal schedule, removing exhausting appearances while personally selecting the duties he still intended to complete. William stared at the revised pages, then set them down slowly. His voice dropped as he asked whether his father was preparing merely for fewer duties or preparing the family for a final goodbye. But to understand why those words wounded William so deeply, the truth must move beyond the diagnosis and into the complicated bond between a father, a son, and the crown waiting between them. The world saw a king facing illness and an heir preparing to replace him. William saw something far more painful. Music. He saw the father whose approval he had chased, resisted, and quietly needed for most of his life. Every disagreement now felt sharper. Every unfinished conversation carried new danger, and beneath the constitutional preparation was one unbearable possibility. The crown might reach William only because Charles could no longer carry it. William had spent years learning how to speak to his father without allowing old pain to enter every sentence. Their relationship had been shaped by duty, family loss, opposing instincts, and the constant pressure of knowing that one reign would eventually give way to another. The crown was not simply a jeweled symbol. It represented the monarch's authority, responsibilities, and lifelong burden of service. Charles believed that burden required discipline. His son believed it also demanded change. Their arguments had often been about the monarchy's future, but now the prince wondered whether he had spent too much time challenging the king and too little time understanding the man beneath the title. Catherine recognized what William refused to admit. His growing workload was not only preparation for greater responsibility, it was an attempt to outrun fear. She watched him accept more meetings, study longer briefing papers, and fill every quiet hour with work because silence left room for thoughts he could not control. The princess remained his emotional anchor, yet even she could not remove the guilt pressing against him. He remembered sharp conversations with Charles, doors closed too firmly, and words spoken with the confidence that there would always be time to repair them. Charles carried a different fear. He worried that his son's compassion might become hesitation when difficult decisions arrived. The king wanted William prepared for succession. The legal and ceremonial process through which the crown passes to the next monarch. But every discussion sounded to the future king like surrender. Each time his father mentioned continuity, he heard goodbye. Each time Charles spoke about readiness, the prince felt the distance between them grow. William found the handwritten note at Windsor inside an old briefing folder. Charles had praised how calmly his son had handled a difficult engagement and written that he was proud of the man William had become. The prince read those lines twice. His hands trembled as he closed the folder because the approval he had quietly wanted for years had reached him at the moment he feared losing its author. Catherine then disclosed a private recorded conversation in which Charles had asked her to stop William from isolating himself when pressure became unbearable. The revelation proved that the monarch had been preparing emotionally, not only constitutionally. Camilla had received instructions, too. But when the prince questioned her, the queen consort refused to reveal them. Her silence left him certain that everyone closest to his father carried a different piece of the plan. That conversation began not with the public announcement or the medical report, but during one private ceremony when Charles's body betrayed what his words were still determined to deny. Long before William spoke, there had been a moment the palace could not erase. It happened during a private investiture at Windsor Castle when Charles reached for a medal, lost his balance, and froze beside the chair prepared for him. The room remained silent. William stepped forward instinctively, but the king raised one hand and stopped him. That gesture, proud, frightened, and absolute, became the moment everything changed. Charles had continued working through the hardest periods of treatment because he refused to let illness become the defining image of his reign. An investiture is a formal ceremony in which the monarch presents honors to people recognized for service or achievement, and every movement carries meaning. The king believed canceling such duties would allow fear to replace authority. Yet palace staff already understood how fragile that authority had become. They shortened receiving lines, moved engagements closer together, added private rest, music, periods, and placed chairs in rooms where Charles had once stood without assistance for hours. The ceremony moved forward until the monarch reached for another medal. His fingers missed it. His knees weakened. Music, and William caught his arm before he fell. Charles whispered, "Not here," then pulled himself upright and ordered the presentation to continue. The prince obeyed, but anger burned beneath his silence. Duty had stopped protecting his father. It was now placing him in danger. Charles felt something different: humiliation. His son had witnessed the exact moment his body no longer answered his command, and the king could not forgive the weakness. Even though it was not his fault, he completed the ceremony through sheer resolve, offering careful words to each recipient, while William watched every breath and every uncertain movement.